All right, so after you read over question number 11, you should notice that there are two variables that they give you because there are two unknowns. In addition to those two variables and two unknowns, you should notice that there's two equations. The first equation is saying 3 cases of juice, which they said was X, and 4 cases of water, which they said to be Y, is 40. The second equation would be 5 cases of juice and 2 cases of water is $34. So once you have those two equations, we're just going to stack them on top of each other, like so. Once they are stacked on top of each other, you're going to see that they are in standard form. And in order to get rid of either an X or an Y, you have to use a multiplier. The easiest way to do that is just to look at the first term. So I have a 3x and a 5x. If I want them eliminated, I'm going to take the top one, multiply it by 5, take the bottom, multiply it by 3, but I have to make one of them negative. It does not matter which one. The reason why I have to make one negative is so that when you add the two equations together, it eliminates. So, negative 15x minus 20y equals negative 200. Then 3 times 5x, 15x. 3 times 2y is 6y. And then 3 times 34 is 102. Once I have those two equations, I'm going to add them together. Negative 20 plus 6 is negative 14y. And when I take negative 200 and add it to 102, I get a 98. And I'm dividing by negative 14. And then we get y equals 7. Once I have one variable, I'm going to go back to the original. It doesn't matter if you use the top or bottom. I'm just going to use the top. 3x plus 4y equals 40. And I'm going to substitute in for y. So 3x plus 4 times 7 equals 40. 3x plus 28 equals 40. Subtract the 28 over. Divide by 3. And x equals 4. Our final step is just to write it out. So we said juice is X, so juice is $4. And then a case of water is 7. For number 12, we have solve for x in terms of p. So that means we're trying to get x by itself, and we need a p in our answer. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just distribute out the 1/2. 1/2 px plus 1/2 times 12 is 6 equals 20. Subtract the 6. 1/2 px equals 14. Now to get rid of the 1/2, I could either divide by 1/2 or multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And my final step, get rid of the p. X is equal to 28 over p. For number 13, to graph the following system of inequalities and then label it with an S in the solution set. So I need to make sure that my inequalities are in slope-intercept form. This first one is, I'm going to start at 2, and then I'm going down 1, right 1. Again, if you forget how to use the pattern, you could just type that into your calculator into y equals, pull up the table, and graph all those points as is. Right, so let's look at the type of line that we need. There is no line underneath, so it's going to be a dotted or dashed line, and that is the greater than symbol, so we're going to shade up. And because this is a system, we need to label at least one of the lines with the inequality. Okay, so now let's look at the second one. We have y minus 2x is less than or equal to 5. We need the 2x on the other side, so we have to add it over. We have y is less than or equal to 2x plus 5. So we're going to start at 5. I'm going up to right 1, up to right 1, down to left 1, down to left 1. And then I'm going to look at the symbol. It's a less than symbol, which means shade down. And it is a solid line, so we're going to make sure we connect all those dots with a solid line. And then shade down. It says to label the solution set with an S. The solution set is that double shaded area where you're going to see those little checker boxes. So inside there, we're going to put a big S because it tells us to do so. And then the follow-up question, is the point 5, 6 a solution to the system? And we're going to explain. So let's locate where 5, 6 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here. So we're talking about that purple dot. We would write yes because it's in the solution set. Or what you could say is the double shaded region. If we were talking about this point right here, typically we do look for a point of intersection when we have a system, but we could not say that circled point is considered a solution due to the fact that it's on the dashed line. A dashed line means it is not included. Okay, let's look at number 15. So the first thing it wants us to do is simplify the following. 4x squared plus 3x minus 5 minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 11. And then once we're done with that, the second thing it wants us to do is multiply that result by 1/2 x to the third power. So anything before that subtraction sign we could just bring down as is, but the subtraction sign gets distributed as if it was a -1 to every term. So we're just going to switch all the symbols because anything times 1 is itself, but a negative makes the signs flip. From here, we're going to combine like terms. Just a reminder, we only combine like terms with the same exponent. We keep the exponent and we're just touching the coefficients. So now that I simplified the first half, it wants us to take that result and multiply it by 1/2 x to the third power. From here, I'm going to do 1/2 times 2, which is 1. X to the third times x squared, we have to add the exponents. We just don't need that 1 in front, so I'm going to erase it. And then 1/2 times 8 is a positive 4. X to the third times x is x to the fourth. And then 1/2 times -16 is a -8. And then we're just going to attach that x to the third. That is our final answer. For 17, find the product. X minus 3 times x squared plus 5x minus 10. From here, we can use the box method, but I'm just going to just double distribute. So x times x squared, x to the third, 5x squared minus 10x. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the -3. -3x squared plus 15x plus 30. So from here, I'm just going to combine like terms. Start with the highest exponent, so x to the third, 5x squared, and negative 3x squared is a positive 2x squared. Negative 10 and a positive 15. Oops, that should be negative 15, whoops. Negative 25x, and then plus 30. For 18, you can choose to multiply everything by the least common multiple, which would be an 18. However, you should see that there's only one term with an x. So instead of multiplying the least common multiples of the 2 and the 18, I'm just going to subtract the 5 over 2 over to the other side. I'm going to do 4 minus 5 over 2 using alpha y equals. And when I hit enter, I'm going to get 3 over 2 equals x plus 7 over 18. From here, I can multiply both sides by 2, or what you could do is just pretend that it is a proportion and cross multiply. So then we have 3 times 18, which is 54, 2x plus 14. I'm going to subtract the 14 over. I'm going to get 40 equals 2x divided by 2. We have x equals 20 as our final answer. For 19, we know that the perimeter of a rectangle is 64. So let's first come up with our legend. The length of a rectangle is 8 more than 3 times its width. Since width was the last word, we're going to let width be equal to x. Then the length is going to be more than, switch the order, 3x plus 8. So we know perimeter is adding all 4 sides. So we have an x and a 3x plus 8. So perimeter is equal to length plus width plus width. So 64 equals the length plus the length plus the width plus the width. When we combine like terms, we have 3, 6, 7, 8. 8x plus 8 and 8 is 16. From here, we're going to subtract 16 over to the other side. 48 equals 8x. And then from here, divide by 8. And x is going to equal 6. So now we're going to plug in. The width we said is x, which is 6. And the length is 3x plus 8. So 3 times 6 plus 8. From here, we get 18 plus 8, which is 26. Now we have to go back and make sure we answered the question. It did say determine the area of that rectangle based off of the information that we had. So we just have to remember area is equal to length times width. So area equals the length times the width. And when we type in 26 times 6, we get 156. It was saying inches, so we're going to just say inches squared. Just a reminder, there is another perimeter formula. It is 2L plus 2W. But I feel like some of you guys forget to multiply, so you could stick with that, just to add all 4 sides.